Ghana Premier League. The dynamics of the league table. And then be a resource ne be free, but the decision say by moving to the House of Folk in the Kodoko game. No, yeah, Pep Guardiola won a 1,000 game weekend. Now the legacy of Pep Guardiola ejato no in terms of statistics. Yeah, the win percentage and then I'm just above 70%. Which from Barcelona team B to the main Barcelona team, then. Or they call FC Bayern Munich or Manchester City. Now he has not really coached at so many clubs, but a few clubs that he has coached now to be on the touchline for 1,000 games. Yeah, to be on the touchline for 1,000 games. Yeah, energy ben adi now. Motivation ben adi now.
Yeah.
Each and every day, oko demo bar 1,000 games. Yeah, would have what I said. Drew say. Adi friend mako matches 90 minutes in plus the other count 1,000. Ya coach is omu ye nipa o.
Yes.
Omu ye nipa to stand on the touchline for 1,000 solid games. Let me give it up to Pep Guardiola. And the kind of results and achievement are what me nya yaw. It only be cry adwuma kra wo ye do me be a motivation hu be be fraba. You don't even know how to motivate yourself. But what really keeps you going? And I think our players were there to play better. Yeah, Thursday, Hana Metina na mekachira say. Game aye kwa kobo Bradley be face a tougher opposition in the shape of Obroko face Jeremy Doku more than Vinicius Jr. And there was a reason why I said that. And they say Jeremy Doku in even a tighter spaces near the Adeno has proven himself to be a very efficient dribbler as compared to Vinicius Jr. who needs space to exploit. Vinicius never press or be ball na to nche and obe hia so in term space ne so. And I say be obetwon ko but with Jeremy Doku yaw. Otare no kura wotwon. And in a quick fit. So it was definitely a different battle between Jeremy Doku and Conor Bradley. It is also easier to get into the head of Vinicius than getting into the head of Jeremy Doku and frustrating him. And yaw, every single thing that Pep is doing to make sure City will get their results knows how play through a player like Jeremy Doku. And yaw, as same way myself is to be say Guardiola adena wo ye no. But the moment famana I will bet me 10 games in the Premier League no be antimi share no. Yaw, obe struggle so obe share no. Because one, this is a team of who they was so. Two, this is a team that they've won it before. Yeah, when you are dealing with a team that has been dominant for quite some time, especially a lot of trophies are. So more picky form and it's difficult for you to stop them because the winning mentality is already there. They've been there before. And you don't give them an opportunity to even get into this particular kind of discussion. But yeah, in the whole game now, you're two key incidents. You can talk about the penalty Ejima Jeremy Doku, which yeah, personally, I actually thought it wise. He said, only Superman now own two. And I baby no on your day, like what was the player supposed to do in that particular area? On your day, would naturally ankasane yaw. What you want to say the day na onye for one who jina ho, so who tiemia for one kasa who jina ho. Baby a ujina no on your day. What should we do on your day? Player no jina on your day. I've watched several games in the Premier League where most of these goals he had to go, including even Manchester City some years back.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, just go no. And yeah, this is one thing about the Premier League. Tembiano, you can say, o support club will be a hini no. Say yaw. Way, ya beji no baby be favor. Be replacing it with another one. The ababi tuya. The Premier League is about pick and pay. Or pick your choice. No tuya. And these are the decisions that they take are inconsistent in the league. And I think they have done Liverpool bad there. But that doesn't mean that's how go ni be see Man City share Liverpool. Yeah, born a hair and run. You're born in 3 days or 4 days. I didn't see how Liverpool were going to beat this Manchester City team. From intensity to chances creation to winning individual battles. Yeah, there was no way Liverpool were going to beat Manchester City.
Yeah, slots nangasa kraka say anything football be football be na City
were on top,
but the goal
I think I agree with that slot on this part. Say yaw goal in there was uncommutable. Then my last story na me fancy yaw. When you look at the Spanish La Liga, dynamics in the sense is about Madrid akobo draw against Vallecano, Barcelona akoshe Celta Vigo. Yaw Hansi Flick, the problem is still persistent. And I go no more consider after Lewandowski share penalty no. Another quick transition right behind them. And just for maybe different kind of discussions we can do about the Barcelona setup and what they are doing in the absence of certain key players. Yow, Meji to me say against Celta Vigo you might be able to get the results with this. But against teams be able to show more Champions League, maybe I'll share Chelsea now you wouldn't be getting some of these results. Yow. And Lewandowski needed to step up for Barcelona to get a result. And Celta Vigo, before this game, no, they were on top form. Let me commend Barcelona for winning this game. First of all, I mean congratulate him because now Celta Vigo last 5 games, so Mambo coming into this game, now you're lose back. So meaning in terms of form, no more so. As compared to even Barcelona in their last 5 games. But for Barcelona to beat them by 4 goals to 2, that is a good job by Barcelona. But the problem still remains. Problem no still no clear. But I think the dynamics of the league, it is good for Enyomo Bia able to me ashama the competition of the Spanish La Liga and Etimia. Because for Madrid, I think it's no news. It's Marco Vallecano akobo goalless. Yeah, we are one team. How team omotete Madrid players our team no. Upe team omotete Madrid pa. And I think the last one Madrid had was even 1 goal to 0. Madrid Krabesha or Hodma 2-1, 1-0. A difficult grounds for Real Madrid. And I think to get a draw over it may be a loss, because there were early chances that were being created. Real Madrid controlled the game at some point in time. I was expecting the likes of Kylian Mbappe to step up. But for a draw at this stage of the season, I think it is good for Real Madrid. And I've said it, say, League, Pep Guardiola, say, League November. So even between the two of them, I think the results, if FIFA will be doing this weekend, I want to see how after the international break both teams will carry it on.
Whoa, Mate, Medase, Mezana. Me ba Mike ho na Mike Edenediana about say is an offside. Had Robertson stood, the ball would have hit him and Robertson, knowing that he bent down so that the ball would go into the net. And he down kwa ata ana down kwa de the message. And so at the bar and ne anope na Chelsea was scores even. 7 and a half so now because my message is and cabit me as bim dianka meshe no na makan odie no so edi ama but nana kwam say but Barcelona were better in the second half. Now them say first half na nya but second half am say omo improve nyoma. Mike
fancy me that say to start with, I think say it's a weekend that was full of refereeing controversy. Efia na manone yenya bebrina. In the Liverpool game, did Liverpool really deserve that goal? I think it's subjective. And Nino will boil down to the interpretation of the law. It drew instances like this and mostly discretionary. Inti referee be ebeje. Another referee might allow it. So in this case, let's be very clear on this. What actually happened was that, as it has been showed, videos anyway, some more mobile way. Van Dijk had a ball. Robertson was in an offside position, which in itself any offense. But ball neighbor no. Robertson saw the direction of the ball. No, yes, obunimu or koto. Na ball no afane so diako. Apparently, the goalkeeper also was headed towards that direction, trying to make a save. So clearly, interpretation would differ here. Did Robertson impact Donnaruma's movement and now impacting the vision? Donnarumma who born now when he saw it. Per the action of Donnarumma, who baby a born neighbor. Who picture? So when who born now, maybe his movement would have been different, but he saw the ball. But it's about timing. Again, VAR ne intervention in play. Mostly the decision that was taken on the field say if there is a clear and obvious error in that decision, and your chin referee na James esi to say, Debbie, I say the mateki the Debbie, and then run boy branti brana behe. In this instance, the on the pitch decision that was taken not by the referee Chris Kavanagh, an assistant referee in a offside Hujuma, and it is mostly a mistake that we make all the time.
Referee nine.
Say a line where you know offside, a assistant referee Juma, but line, a assistant referee Juma, they are in charge of the lines, so they assist the referee in making such a decision. So the best decision a referee will make in instances like offside, to refer to the assistant. No, then the recommendation from the assistant is what most of these referees base on and decide. So per the assistant referee, not say Robertson was in an offside position and he was impacting play. So VAR Nishemua, what VAR will do here is that then it is not a clear and obvious error. And yet clear in the sense that we are still debating about it. Did Robertson impact play? Did he not impact play? Is he in an offside position? That one is clear. But the impartation of play, say, activity neso ana action neso no. Ujina mijina ha komye jina. Yakaso obi anche na adwen obi ade besesa. The obeka no will not be the same as I say it. Will not be the same as Akomia says it. Perspectives. Seni emisi huno. So when it becomes like that, it does not mean and satisfy the criteria for clear and obvious error. I bet me actually referee no edinaba screen so. So anyway, identity here. So one, a subjective. We cannot make a definite stance. Say I am pa Robertson will impact play, and I say Nyampa will impact play. And here one, subjective. Two, there is no clarity on Robertson's involvement, so it does not satisfy the requirement for clear and obvious error. And be a referee take a discretionary and a based on interpretation. Sinti instance say na no ye benya bi wo Premier League ni mu a ebi yaji go ebi anji go. This same incident. Obi had the ball, Obi jina keeper nchen, okotoye yaji go. There was a Bernardo Silva incident, sir. Na Silva jina keeper denim. Ye ball no huri. But yaji go no. You say he did not really impact play. In this instance, it has been given as an offside. Yanji go no because he say we impacted play. So based on the interpretation of the officials or more officiating game no. And about the subjective matters now, utmost responsibility lies with the officiating officials. So, yent means sinipi. The Liverpool fans will feel aggrieved because I quit your and son of football net here say a comma why you keep quiet and then agree, but they have not been robbed. In as much as the decision did not go in their favor, it does not mean that they have been robbed of a goal. They be. And Tennessee, their own interpretation will point towards that, but it comes to the interpretation of the referee. Referee is different. So let's not hang out the referee to dry. As we sing your maybe no they peg abu bom no neo minsio soni frame. Memi emfa referee ne mma ho memi emfa peg mu bonu mu mamoja sebe en soni infinity mungu. Let's not hang him to dry. Let's understand some of these technicalities around the game and especially officiating. You don't just all of a sudden change how VAR should be applied and then move on. But on the day, critically, Arne Slot is still confounded with Liverpool decision making regarding the best lineup or. And I think, yes, Obiaji Tumfleran versus an asset. But as it stands now, he is more of a liability to Liverpool in terms of how they want to play and how he cannot contribute. The verse kitabo yeno. Liverpool players ni be brave, yes, adi ni be. Yes. What does Verse do with the ball? He creates. He opens up spaces. He has excellent vision in terms of passing. Meboa, no movement.
Yes.
Tell me one Liverpool attacker. Oh yeah, available to me start here on to me. Give me one, just one name. Gakpo, yeah. Ekitike, yeah. Isaac, if he's fully fit and informed, oh yeah. Salah, that's it. What Vets does not offer when he's not in possession is actually something Liverpool lack. Let me tell you something. Endra game na you know. What Guardiola decided to do was to overload in the midfield. It is exactly how he used to beat Bournemouth. Foden, Bernardo Silva, they will be very close and narrow to Nico. Then Sterky was not playing as a wide option. No, so Kawom. And then more Matheus Nunes, more to Minya space. So check the first goal. It was from a Nunes cross. Why not a right winger?
Yes.
It was Sterky, but he was inside, allowing an outlet and space for Matheus Nunes to send in the cross.
There's a more tension call midfield now.
Then they will release a quick pass to the flanks.
Yeah.
To the left, it was Doku. Snap, no a BM, not the court. That is how direct City was. But they will concentrate on overloading their midfield, send enough numbers to boss Liverpool around. So check. Why near Bernardo Silva? He's in the war box in him, no, but he's the right winger. Check the pass. On person Ruben Diaz to Matheus Nunes, number 27. Vets, Vets and Robertson. Almost sandwich Bernardo Silva. The right winger is Ryan Cherki, and he's closer to Alexis McAllister, the central midfielder, than to the flanks. No Bono. Now check those who are in the central areas for Man City. Ryan Cherki, Phil Foden, Erling Haaland, Jeremy Doku. So City were very narrow in the middle, but still offered a width outlet, whether on the left or on the right. And this is exactly how the first goal came about. They were dominating them. But the best example of what I want to speak to, Florian Wirtz and in a contribution. In defending, especially a flanks near across the ball now, Samuel 2 and a more mark here. There is one player, on only the end say, I will prevent the play Okita ball from crossing. And the other one is to block the crossing channel. Send your as oba meet me them and but the two Liverpool players here, I don't think they coordinated well enough. Inti baku hunu semina make press it, and baku hunu semina mijina nama blocking. So check between Florian Wirtz and then Andy Robertson. So Okaya, Matheus Nunes will have not less than 2 seconds to make a decision in a highly intense league like the Premier League. You enjoy players and that luxury of time, quality that they have. So check more video ni bi when you born tiaso 1 2 3 David, he's free. And that is what Florian Wirtz does not offer. Cody Gakpo will press this ball. So I don't agree with Arne Slot's selection. Miwu Gakpo bench, unless they be a pra. I think it was wrong to play Wirtz as the left winger. Wirtz in the best position here, central. And that is where Liverpool are still contending. How do they play him in the central areas? Because Oban Fin was what? A Jumana Zobos like Bayer without the ball, no, on to me, because he's not yet up to that intensity in terms of the Premier League. So, Wakoye Santro Fianoma, Liverpool fan, no, Omba for Musio, Bankomu Janeswa, and Komu Jaisradie. And that is the story of Florian Wirtz. He's a very good player, but Liverpool's Arne Slot is struggling in terms of how to integrate him into this team and make sure, say, Beshem Emma Sintom Ma. Boba Beshem no Washemukina. And then the problem can see Omufezi. And yes, a player no wasa and no nimbo. No. Wirtz is a very good player. But at times, how are you see player no? A Trese Beko ye ana enko ye. And Arne Slot has not found that formula yet. And I think that the more he tries to find ways to include him, the more it becomes problematic for Liverpool. Because one, the Liverpool team do not have a lot of ball winners in there. o check your team ni here in fin there is not a single natural profile or yet a ball winner, a ball tackler. So it means they depend on numbers to block spaces like they did to Madrid. So here Madrid game ni here or more blocking spaces. So it was difficult for Madrid to break through.
Yeah.
If they had a profile like Caicedo, and then there's a vet ne kwa na Caicedo na beshawa ye say jumano, but they don't, and that is the biggest issue they face now. So vet ne boa, when they have the ball, he will pass around. Or bet there was an instance we Ochobi said Nico was saying almost when the mummy a man yellow card. That tells you how brilliant he is on the ball, but without the ball, he becomes more of a liability. And the issues that Liverpool will need to contend with. But the defeat to Man City, it points towards something. That Liverpool will need to do a lot to get back into the title defense picture. Since a league near the reality suggests that Liverpool can kiss it goodbye. Yes.
But so senior players no feel say over.
No, they will speak to the fans. You see, players now are also PR specialists. And it's all banned from remember because in the league Nigeria to minje.
But as it stands now,
they will fight for it, but the reality is they are like third favorite.
Wow.
Now as it stands, a advantage Arsenal, Manchester City.
And according to Opta, Arsenal 1, Chelsea 2, Man City 3.
No, Chelsea drew. Chelsea are not there.
Yeah.
The Chelsea team you see cannot sustain a title challenge. Amuntimi.
No, yeah,
they cannot do that. One, because they are not matured enough. The Chelsea team you see, Omunya matured enough. And a game no mobile against Wolves, you know. If it was against any other opponent, but Wolves or struggler, they would have gotten a point at Stamford Bridge, especially from the first half. Chelsea team, they were very talented players, but they are not matured enough to sustain a title challenge. Then City, by virtue of the manager and then the squad they have now, Pep Atreus was a better team now, so he knows how to use them, and it looks like we're cracking the code for using any player in the midfield. So Rodri anymore. Nico has settled in. I think he's gone under the radar. Yamona Basso, but he's one of the players who has impressed. Our Man City.
Yeah.
And he's come to terms and Pep in him say, so Okasa or board don't quite want a 4-1-4-1 formation now. Diego. So now he decides to give him company with Bernardo Silva, Foden, into overcrowded midfield nepe. Passing options and yet then they can improve. It looks like Pep has cracked the code. But how consistent can they be? But Omutu no we are the front runners now. Arsenal, Manchester City.
Wow.
But Liverpool, I am saying, in my opinion, they can kiss the Premier League title goodbye. And yadia, Omonsa Betimia can say Omo defend it. And again, it will signal how Liverpool have not really been good in terms of building on success. Omaji League nibida, but they could not build on the success effectively. And yeah, last season they won the league under Klopp. Now was Mutu and Amoko meaning City when they won the league, they sustained it and improved. No more J League 4 times that it was so. That is what Liverpool struggle to do. They can't break into the next barrier. And that is the problem for them because it looked like a perfect summer per the business they did. It looked like a wonderful end to the season. Salah renew, Van Dijk renew. Oh, they lost a year Trent. Then they decided to splash the cash, bring players who were doing very well at their clubs on board. Jeremy Frimpong, Leverkusen, Vez, Leverkusen, Ekitike, Frankfurt, Isaac, Liverpool, Kerkes, Bournemouth. These were players who were excelling at their teams, but you need to integrate them into the Liverpool unit and make sure say a team no konenim. A bit yet take it time. A bit so dear enye kra. When Moises Caicedo came to Chelsea, it took him some time before he settled. Aside the technical issues, there is also the psychological issues. Technical issues in your league, the demands, the physicality, how intense it is, and then the technical role at the Bemano with the Liverpool team, and then what he also contributes without the ball. Any other issues but another thing in the price tag. Yes, it is also affecting him. It will affect every player. no matter your pedigree. It is all your Messi and now Ronaldo. But no matter your pedigree, you talk about I am not tag ni deal with it. Into when you be a umu do or character, it is difficult to shake it off, and that is a problem they are. But I think, say, I am some na a Kamfa football clubs, no. You share club will be ni aka.
To say,
a man you are and common different. A Liverpool and common different. A Chelsea and common different. That is how it works. The vets say, you know, trust me, say a man you know bomomo and what bore up to this stage and our issues way back. Waste of money. A massive flop. This would have been the headlines that would dominate the English tabloids and then the media. But we've seen the extent that the media has gone to explain everything in every detail. Technical issues or breaking it down. This is the same media that castigated Paul Pogba. And most expensive signing and waba and I don't know, but maybe forgive me. Omuye tuntum nintia. I also can't be ana. Because Walker na Walker Caicedo die. The kind of scrutiny Paul Pogba faced, and Pogba didn't won. The contest was Obera Manchester United team wana egumu. Afei na ne yehye. We de wabehye team wo mu gina so o magi league. No difference, no.
Yes.
But we crucified Paul Pogba.